Hey friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning into What Does It Take to Win? I hope you're having a pretty good week so far, but if you're not, I pray that this episode makes it a little bit better for you. Hey, be sure to click the link in the description and you can access all content from me. Last year, 2022, on my birthday, I released a brand new project entitled Streams. It's a classical meditation album, which is great for starting off your day or even ending your day and unwinding. So I'd like for you to check that out. Also, I have some older projects that I had released over the years. Be sure to check out my full catalog of music by clicking the link in the description, and you'll be able to access my EPs, my albums, my singles, and so on. I also offer piano lessons and piano coaching. So if you're interested in that and taking your playing to the next level, be sure to reach out to me. There's also a private virtual course that you can enroll in, and then we'll meet weekly. Again, if you'd like some more information on that, you can just click the link in the description. I know I sound like a broken record, but bear with me. There are also beats that are available. So if you're a podcaster like myself, if you're a content creator, if you're a musician, a rapper, singer, so on, anybody that needs beats, if you have a channel that you do cooking on and you just want like an instrumental to play in the background, I got you covered. Just click the link in the description where it says lease beats or get beats, and you'll be able to access my entire catalog. If you'd like to have exclusive rights, you can go ahead and reach out to me and we can talk about pricing for exclusive rights, meaning you're the only person who gets that beat. If anybody else tries to steal that beat from you, they're going to have problems. Last but not least, I still produce. So if you would need a single or an album, an EP, any type of production done, you can go ahead and reach out to me for all your production needs. Click the link in the description once again, and it will take you there. And you can go ahead and book a session with me. Okay, that was a bit of a mouthful, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of all of the resources that are available to you. So now let's jump into the topic of the hour. So once again, I was actually having a conversation with somebody, and it was always a good conversation with this person. They, tend to get the wheels turning in my mind, and I believe I do the same for them, hopefully. So at the end of this conversation, I began to get this idea about overthinking and, where our minds could take us if we do not control our minds. How sometimes we could be led to believe something that is not true. So with that being said, the title of this episode is Don't Believe the Lie. Have you ever come across somebody, maybe you just met them or maybe you've known them for a while but never had a conversation with them, and as you begin conversing with them, you've noticed that a lot of your ideas and interests are very similar, or for lack of better words, you pretty much click. There's an immediate bond with that person. But have you ever completed that conversation or the time in which you guys were hanging out, and you went your separate ways, and then some little thoughts and ideas began to enter your mind? Let's say you're one of those people who have a kind heart, but over the years, you've been a bit mistreated. People seem to have mistook your kindness for weakness. So now, you've met a new person. You guys are kind of bonding. It seems like you have similar interests, but in the back of your mind, you're starting to believe that this person does not have your best interest at hand, that they don't actually want to be your friend, but rather they're more interested in what you have to offer for their own personal gain. Okay, now let's look at this from, let's say, a romantic relationship standpoint. Let's say, you've given up on love, and out of nowhere, you met somebody who you have an immediate bond with. Everything is going smoothly. But then you begin to say to yourself, something's going to go wrong eventually. This person doesn't really like me. They're just probably trying to use me for whatever reason, and so on. Sometimes that's true. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, that's untrue. No, sometimes that's true, but not all the time that's true. And it's your choice to make sure you understand and you can decipher when it's true and when it's not true. And also, if it's not true, don't believe the lie. Okay. So I would like to, boy, that was a mouthful for the intro, but I'd like to leave you with 3 points to consider as always. And I'm just going to go through them quickly. So the first point is don't overthink. And we just touched a little bit on that point. The second point is to slow down and breathe. And the third and final point is to identify the truth. Now, since a lie is not the truth, it can never be. Selah. Take some time out to think about what I just said. I'll actually say it again. Since a lie is not the truth, it can never be. Meaning, it can't really exist. It's not true. Okay? Almost like fear, but that's for a different podcast. Matter of fact, if you go back and listen to one of my older episodes on fear. But yeah, since a lie is not the truth, it can never be. It cannot exist. Again, there are times in which thoughts and ideas enter our minds which are simply not true. It's our duty to not believe them and to not accept the lies. So let's get back to overthinking. Don't overthink. Before we understand how to stop overthinking, we must first identify and define what it means to overthink, or what overthinking is. So, of course, I went online and I looked on Google and I found a definition of overthinking. It's very simple, and it says overthinking can be defined as to think about something too much or for too long. Okay, and I'll read that one more time. It simply means to think about something too much or for too long. When you think about something too much or for too long, it becomes very easy for lies to enter into our minds. Here's an example. Remember when we were kids and somebody would tell us about the monster under our beds or the boogeyman? We believed them. We never actually saw the boogeyman. We never actually saw any monsters under our beds, but we would begin to overthink until we believed the lie was the truth. After we believed the lie was the truth, we ultimately ended up scaring ourselves. This same pattern can play out in adulthood as well. We can begin to apply this to our adult responsibilities. Most commonly, our financial health, and overthink ourselves into believing lies about our well-being, when in all reality, we're a lot better off than we believe we are. Here's another example. I'll use myself again. As you know, I play piano and a few other instruments as well, but piano is my primary instrument. And I had to record a track for somebody. And, I was very familiar with the material that I was recording. I could pretty much record it in my sleep. I was so familiar with it. But I began to overthink as I was recording the track. And it was maybe like a 6 or 7 minute song. I think it would have only taken me about 15 minutes maximum to record the track without even having to stop. I could have done it in one take, honestly, and just go back and, do the engineering part to mix and master it. But this ended up taking me about an hour to complete. Not because I was incapable, and it wasn't because I did not know the music. It was more so because I was beginning to believe the lie that, oh man, I'm not going to execute this. And I started to overthink. Say, well, what if I can't get this in one take? And then, of course, it took me a couple of takes. And I was like, oh no, I'm not getting it in 2 or 3 takes. It took a few more takes. And then I was just like, oh, okay, I'm starting to fail here. But it wasn't until I stopped overthinking and really just removed all the stress and pressure from my mind that I was able to complete the recording in the final take. I didn't have to stop. So all to say, don't overthink. Overthinking will definitely set you back. Sometimes you have to pause and slow down, which is actually a good segue into the second point, which is slow down and breathe. Okay. I want everybody, wherever you are, if you're at work, if you're driving, if you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing right now, wherever you are, just pause. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Okay, that was a little fast. But didn't that feel good if you did it slowly? Okay. We're always on the move, trying to get everything done as quickly as possible. It becomes very easy to apply this to our thinking, causing us to jump to conclusions before the whole story comes out. I want you to take some time out and think about this. Right, stay with me. try to, have an illustrated thought as I'm saying this. Has someone offended you, but later on you realize that you mistook what they said or did to you? Are you thinking about it? For example, you could have ended up beefing, now this is slang again, or having problems, beefing with them all because you didn't take your time to slow down, breathe, and really listen to what they're saying. I'll use myself as an example. There was a time in my life in which I was doing music and, not making a lot of money from it. So it seemed like every gig or event that I did, I had to hunt somebody down or chase them down for the money. Oftentimes it would be little or even no money. They would always come up with some sort of excuse. So finally, I sort of just, accepted that as my fate and believed that, I'm just not going to be getting a ton of money. This was for a brief period in my life, and I was just ready to give up on music. I think I touched a little bit upon this in a previous episode. So that actually stayed with me for a while, for years, up until there was this one point in my career in which somebody was trying to help me. But I did not recognize that because I was so used to believing that everybody was out to get me. So this person who was trying to help me, their approach was a little different. If you were from the outside looking in, you could kind of see that they were trying to help me. But if you didn't know the full story, they could come off as though they were trying to sort of take advantage of my finances, right? So they were actually trying to help me level up financially. And I began to believe that they were trying to, come after my money or chase me for my paper. Some of you guys might be familiar with where that line came from. But anyways, I thought they were just trying to take advantage of me. So I actually began to overthink at first, and I started to jump to conclusions. I did not slow down and I did not breathe. And I was ready to just, be very aggressive towards them and let them know that, hey, you're not about to take advantage of me. You're not going to take my money. I was ready to fight, honestly, whether it was physically or, verbally. I'll let you be the judge to that. I'm not going to incriminate myself, not on my podcast. But I was ready to jump to conclusions. But before I could fully jump to conclusions and even say anything to them, I was getting I was getting everything together. They actually ended up reaching out to me, expressing what their plan was. And that just calmed down the situation completely and totally. And so that taught me a lesson that not everybody is out to get me. Not everybody's out to get you. And sometimes you just need to slow down, breathe, let it play out. Obviously stay on guard if you don't really have the best gut feeling about the person or, the situation at hand. But let it play out sometimes. Slow down, breathe. Don't jump to conclusions. And that way you'll see the truth, which is a great segue into my third and final point. Identify the truth. Oftentimes, the truth is right in front of us. So all we have to do is just identify it and accept it. The second part, accepting the truth, might be a bit more difficult than identifying it. Sometimes the truth will just come and slap you right in the face. But accepting it is where it becomes challenging. Some practical steps for identifying the truth is simply to gather the facts, ask yourself questions, and get answers that can't be refuted. Finally, trust your gut. So, for example, if you'd like to identify the truth and gather the facts, you have to ask questions. The questions that you ask, they need to not have multiple choice answers, if that makes sense. So, for example, if you ask somebody, what is 1 + 1? It must be 2 always. There's no multiple choice answer that's going to say one answer is right and one answer is the best. No, it just has to be one answer that cannot be refuted. Well, this can be applied to our lives. I'll use myself once more for the final time of this episode, at least, as an example. I was doing business not too long ago. I had to get on the phone and handle something that was wrongfully done to me. I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to go too deeply into detail. So I ended up, making a phone call to an institution, that's the word I'll use, to express how dissatisfied I was with one of their policies. Now, I had something in writing that they did to me a few months prior, and I wanted it to be changed. And it was changed, but then they did it again to me recently. So, at the time in which you're listening to this podcast, it was probably about 3 to 5 days prior to me recording this episode. So upon getting on a phone call with them, they had expressed to me that, oh, sorry, there's nothing we can do to fix this. You're going to have to wait at least 6 months before it can be resolved. Now, this had already happened to me before, and I had in writing that they resolved the issue in less than the 6-month waiting period that they gave me. So it took me about 2 hours or so, but I brought out all the facts. I said, look, I have this in writing. This is the date in which I received, communication from you. And what you're saying to me over the phone right now, the runaround that you're giving me, is simply not the truth. So I expressed to them the truth that could not be refuted. I had it on my records and they had it on their records. So there was nothing else they could say to me that would allow them to twist their way out of the evidence that I was presenting to them. And because of that, I was able to, get the adjustments made in less than the 6-month waiting period. So it was resolved within a couple of days as opposed to 6 months. So I would like for you to apply that same principle. I was able to gather the facts, I began to ask them a lot of questions that could not be refuted. It got so bad to the point where they just began to lie. And I'm just like, oh, no, you can't lie because I have it in writing. And so do you. It's right in front of you. But yes, that was, the way I was able to handle that situation. And I believe you'll be able to handle your situations as well. Finally, the last part of this point of identifying the truth is to trust your gut. Sometimes, well, actually more often than not, we'll have that gut feeling that's telling us, almost like our spidey senses, that's telling us, yes, go for it. This is okay. This is true. Or maybe don't do that right now. Gather some more information. Or I don't have a good feeling about this. Don't do it at all. Trust your gut. I believe that's a God-given ability that we all have that we need to just become more aware of and more in tune with. Trust your gut. That will help you to identify the truth. That's my, final point for this episode. I don't want to just keep dragging it out, but hopefully you'll be able to take what you can from this and apply it to your life so you're not believing the lie, because we tend to believe lies, and lies are not true. Lies can never be. Lies are things that don't exist. So we just need to get out of that mindset. Okay, I'm through. That's my third and final point. It's a little different than the norm, but let's just do a quick run through of the 3 points for not believing the lie. The first point is don't overthink. When you think about something too much for too long, it becomes very easy for the lies to enter into your mind. Point number 2, slow down and breathe. Take a deep breath, pause, inhale, exhale, whatever. But slow down and breathe. Don't just jump to conclusions. And finally, last but not the least, identify the truth. The truth is often right in front of us. All we have to do is just identify it and accept it. Thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope it blessed you and I hope it encouraged you. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to share this. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with people you don't even like. Share it with that person who keeps bothering you for advice. I got you covered. And lastly, if you'd like to connect with me, just click the link in the description for all of my content. I have some great things in store for you. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.